Good morning and welcome to Hapa. Today we're presenting to you from our base in Switzerland in Wolkenstil near Zurich. My name is James Fear, I'm the Head of Product Management for Hapa, and also with us today we also have Sasha Seaman.
Good morning.
At Hapa, our aim is to provide validated print performance for inline printing, particularly for systems which are integrated into packaging lines in a GMP compliant setting, specifically for the pharma sector. Simply put, we are seeking to print our customers' artwork on our customers' material using our inks with a print process that is managed by our technology. And in order to do that, application testing is a fundamental foundation of all of our projects. Two very important teams inside Hapa are the print tech department, application testing, and also our Hapa Inks development department. And today, what we want to do is give you a very brief insight into those two departments. What are the factors that you have to consider then in order to validate an application for a customer's project?
Of course, there are a lot of factors to validate the application in the right way. We here in Hapa PrintTech trying to bring, based on the technical data sheet of the material that the customer is using, our machines, our inks, our treatments, we try to bring everything together and build up on that experience for the customer and recommendation.
What are the typical things and tests that you go through when you are running application tests? How do we go about testing an application for a customer?
As I explained before, the first step is feasibility tests. So is the material really running in the machine? Is it possible? We have also a big base of experience data, so we can use from there. We have to look on the technical data side. Is there something we already tested, or is it something new to have to be tested done?
So Sasha, I know that you do thousands of these tests and we have decades of experience. Out of those decades of experience, what are the standard things that we look at and test inside a project?
For example, we do here with the specific customer materials printing trials. We look then deeper into those results in case of adhesion. We have a look into the print quality. Print quality means sometimes a lot. It is not only the resolution of the machine, it is also related to the workflow, how we bring the printing data down to the printer. So, and this is something we concentrate ourselves that we have the final quality, what also the customer expecting. Then ink flow, this is also related to the surface tension, surface energy of a substrate material. It's important if you're printing barcode, for example. Print resistance, all those durability tests we are doing with the foil. We stress the foil by scratching. We stress the foil, of course, the material, not just the foils, by smear rubbing tests. And these kind of tests guide us finally to a report, the test report.
So Sasha, you mentioned the database, of course, as an ISO 9001 compliant company, which is seeking to provide GMP compliant print processes. This database is audit trailed and has an archive, and I understand that we keep the physical samples for many years, which enables us to go back and reference the basis for all our projects. You also mentioned that there's 3 releases that come out of this process, or 3 conditions. One is a release, that means the project can go ahead and we are sure of reliable process. The second was a conditional release, which I imagine is, here are some recommendations on what we could do or what the client can do. In the third situation, which is no release, what then? Do we just stop the project or do we have further options?
Luckily, we have further options. Our main option is to involve the internally ink department, the ink development. So to go direct from there, because most of the no releases are related to the ink. Ink adhesion, for example, it could be something different, but ink department, it's helping us to find a solution for this specific customers.
So one of the things that the ink department do specifically is they seek to solve problems inside the customer's application in partnership with our engineering team around the print process.
Right.
And that's the fundamental process.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Ink development takes time, which is why it's always the final option and the last resort, but it is an option that we have, and that's why we have invested in Hapa inks, and they're an important part of our offering to the market. Welcome back. We're now inside the ink laboratory, and I'm here with Nicole Howard, who's our lead chemist for the ink development activities. Hapa Inks is a boutique ink development and production house specifically focused upon developing inks for the core markets that Hapa is focused upon. It therefore has a natural focus upon the healthcare sector and developing inks in a GMP compliant manner. Nicole, what are the most common reasons why you're asked to formulate or modify an ink?
Common reasons are adhesion, optical density, ink flow, spot color. Also migration is always a big issue, but this is also a processing. So it's also depending on curing, pre-treatment, packaging, substrate and product.
Other reasons may include a change in regulation. That means we need to adjust formulation to ensure legal compliance again. And alternative, sometimes a raw material may be longer commercially available, and therefore we have also to look for a substitute again.
Okay, interesting. So could you give us a tour around the lab, show us some of the things that you do in your day-to-day business?
Sure. Let's start with the ingredients of the ink. First of all, we use pigment, not dyes. The difference is dye is a solution, like sugar in coffee. Pigment is like flour in coffee, it just sticks to the ground. So you have to make a dispersion, which means you have to mill the pigments with such beads in the mill to break up the agglomerates and get the dispersant around the pigment so that the pigment starts flowing. After the dispersion, we can make the ink. We need more acrylates. Acrylates are due to the flexibility or toughness or adhesion of the ink. And we also need the photoinitiators that the ink can cure. With the photoinitiators you can vary it between LED and H-bulb curing speed, top cure. Overall, there are around 15 ingredients in each ink. Let's have a closer look at our measurement devices. We start with a data color where we measure the ALB values of every color. We have the normal yellow, magenta, cyan, K and white range. We also do spot colors, which we achieve by mixing them out of our dispersion, which gives us a quite good color range despite we don't have a single orange or green. With the next tool, we measure the dispersed and polar part of the substance to get a better adaptation to the ink. Last in this line, it's a microscope, where in this case we can see the impact of the rotary sealing on ink and blister. The next tool is the Horiba, where particle size and distribution is measured. Then the Bolin rheometer, which is our most frequented tool to measure viscosity, which is needed for development, release of production ink and stability test. Last but not least, the FTRR, which we use for raw material check and to get curing information by comparing the liquid ink with the solid ink film.
So today we've taken you through some of the steps that we have in Hapa to ensure that we have a reliable process where we take your artwork on your materials using our inks and our print process to deliver a consistent performance in terms of the printing for inline printing inside, whatever application we talked about. I want to say thank you for your attention, your time, and we are now going to open the floor to question and answer session. Thank you very much. So welcome back to Switzerland. We're in our final inspection area in our operations department at the moment. And of course, in the US, we have a dedicated team for sales and service. And we also have a distribution operation for spare parts and inks. And Steve DeAngelis and his team are currently available via the PAC Expo Connect platform during the hours of the exhibition for live contact. I'm also joined, of course, by Sasha and Nicole again, and we're now going to take any questions that we've received. One of the questions specifically for you, Sasha, that we've received. We have a blister packaging line inside our operation. What do you use that for in the application testing?
That's absolutely right. The blister packaging line helps us to identify the needs and the process of our customer, so we can really deep down test and figure out what's happened with foil, with inks, and of course with these kind of high pressure and sealing, what happens, and do this feasibility test really down to the customer's process. And this is not what we want to do, and what we find out, and yeah.
So we're fundamentally testing our integrated machine in the packaging line.
That's right.
As it would exist in operation. Nicole, we've got a second question which came in relating to ink formulation and stability in production. How do we make sure that the ink is stable through our production process?
Yeah, we do stress tests at different temperatures with the lab samples and the first production samples. And we measure them after a certain time period, different physical data, and looking for changes.
Okay, so fundamentally an accelerated aging test. We then watch the critical parameters of the ink.
Yes.
And then finally, one for you, Sasha, I guess. Do you see any trends in the packaging material that you are asked to test on, particularly in the pharma sector at the moment?
In the pharma sector, they are stays to aluminium, I would say. They're using aluminium further. We see a slightly trend that goes in the area of mono blister, so mono packaging, alu, more protection, finally for the drugs. So there are a lot of application we had in the last few years, but it's aluminum, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So I think that wraps it up from us. Thank you very much for attending us. Please don't forget to contact Steve and the sales team directly via the Pack Expo Connect platform, and we look forward to speaking to you soon about how we can help inline printing in your packaging line. Thank you. Goodbye.